The words didn't just sting. They filled the kitchen like something toxic, heavy enough to choke whatever warmth we had left. Mira sat at the table scrolling her phone, thumbs flying, eyes flat. "I'm going clubbing with Declan on Saturday," she said, like she was announcing the weather. "And before you start, I'm going whether you like it or not." I stood there with a dish towel in my hand, suddenly unsure what I was doing, as if the simplest chores had lost their meaning. "Declan?" I repeated. Her ex from college, 3 years together before me. The man whose photos I'd once found shoved into a shoebox in our closet, right next to the folder where we kept our tax documents. My voice stayed calm out of pure shock. "What did you just say?" Mira finally looked up, and the green in her eyes felt colder than any silence we'd ever shared. "You heard me, Jensen. He's in town for the weekend. We're catching up. He wants to see that new club downtown." "A nightclub," I said, placing the towel down carefully because my hands had started to shake. "With your ex." I tried to keep it respectful, tried to keep it married. "Mira, we're husband and wife. That's not appropriate." She laughed, short and sharp. "Oh my God, here comes the jealous husband routine. We're friends, Jensen. We've been friends for 10 years. I'm not asking permission." "Then why tell me?" I asked. She pushed her chair back and stood. "Because I'm being honest," she snapped. "Unlike some people, I don't sneak around. I'm telling you exactly what I'm doing. If you can't handle it," she shrugged, casual, cruel, "maybe you should ask yourself whether this marriage is right for you." I stared at her, searching for the woman who'd cried at our wedding and promised to choose me every day. The woman in front of me wore the same face, but none of the softness. "So that's it," I said. "Accept you going out with him or leave." Mira tilted her head. "I'm not giving ultimatums. I'm just done letting you control who I see. If you trust me, this wouldn't be an issue. But it wasn't trust that cracked something inside me. It was respect. And once I noticed that, I couldn't unsee the quiet signs I'd been collecting and filing away like excuses. The late-night notifications, work stuff, the black lace in her drawer with the expensive tag still on. I bought it for myself. The gym membership, the new trainer, the way she came home smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't mine. The trainers wear it. The business trip to Miami where her hotel room had 2 beds. They messed up the reservation, she'd said. What was I supposed to do, sleep on the floor? That night, Mira went to bed early, peaceful as if she hadn't just threatened our entire life. I lay awake, listening to the house settle, realizing how far she'd pulled away from me, how her body turned from mine, how her kisses had become quick obligations, how her laughter belonged to her screen more than to our conversations. At 2 a.m., my thoughts turned into a drumbeat. If she can laugh at your pain, what else can she do? I got up and opened her laptop. I knew the password. We'd always shared everything, or so I thought. Her Facebook messages loaded instantly. My pulse hammered so loudly I feared she'd hear it, and I kept scrolling, colder with every line. Declan's name sat near the top, like it belonged there. The thread went back months. Little sparks at first, then a fire. Can't wait to see you Saturday. I've missed you so much. He wrote about real connection and a night at the Regency that clearly wasn't just dinner. Then I saw her reply, and the room tilted. Jensen doesn't touch me like you did. Saturday can't come soon enough. I'll wear that black dress you always loved. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. The black dress. 2 weeks ago, she'd told me it was for a work function that got canceled. I'd believed her, because believing was easier than admitting I might be the last person to know my own marriage was ending. I closed the laptop slowly, like the slightest noise might break me, and that's when I heard it. Soft footsteps on the hallway wood, the faint creak of our bedroom door opening. Someone was awake. Someone was coming toward the kitchen, and I was still sitting there with her secrets glowing on the screen. I didn't confront her when she stepped into the kitchen that night. Mira paused when she saw me sitting there, the laptop already closed, my face unreadable. For a second, something flickered across her expression. Guilt, maybe fear, but it vanished as quickly as it came. Why are you up? She asked casually, reaching for a glass of water like nothing had happened. Couldn't sleep, I said. My voice sounded normal. Too normal. She nodded, satisfied, and went back to bed without another word. That was when I understood something terrifyingly clear. She believed I'd never leave. She believed I'd complain, sulk, maybe argue, but stay. That confidence was built on 4 years of me choosing peace over confrontation. Tonight, that pattern broke. I didn't sleep at all. I lay on the couch staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our marriage through a harsher lens. The way she dismissed my concerns. The way compromise always meant I gave in. The way respect had slowly been replaced by convenience. By morning, my sadness had hardened into something sharper. Clarity. Friday arrived with cruel brightness. Sunlight flooded the house as if mocking me. Mira hummed in the shower, carefree, while I sat at the kitchen table planning the end of my marriage. At exactly 9 a.m., I made the call. Marcus Hale answered on the second ring. Calm, professional, efficient. By noon, I was sitting across from him in his office, a leather portfolio between us. Infidelity qualifies for a fault divorce in this state, he said after reviewing the screenshots I printed. These messages are explicit. We can move fast. I want it done before she realizes what's happening, I said. Marcus nodded. The house was your inheritance? Yes. Then this will be clean. Clean. The word echoed as I walked out, but nothing about this felt clean. Necessary, yes. Merciful, maybe. But not clean. I went straight to the bank. Our joint account first, my half transferred out, legally and quietly. Then I opened a new personal account at a different bank. No drama, no revenge, just preparation. By the time I left, I felt lighter, as if each decision peeled away another layer of denial. Chris didn't ask questions when I showed up at his apartment. He took one look at my face and pulled me inside. She's cheating, I said. I have proof. I'm filing for divorce. His jaw tightened. Want me to talk to Declan? No, I said. I want you to help me move my things out tomorrow night. While she's at the club, a slow smile crossed his face. Smart. She thinks she's in control. That evening, Mira was unusually affectionate. Guilt has a way of disguising itself as tenderness. She curled up next to me, her hand resting on my leg, her expensive perfume filling the room. You've been quiet, she said softly. Are you still mad about tomorrow? I looked at her, the woman I once trusted with my entire life, and felt nothing but calm. I've been thinking, I said carefully. You're right. You should go. Have fun. She stiffened. Really? I smiled. I trust you. Go see Declan. Catch up. She studied my face, searching for the trap, but I'd practiced this mask all day. Finally, relief washed over her. Thank you, she whispered, kissing me. This means a lot. I wondered if his lips had already replaced mine in her mind. That night, she reached for me for the first time in months, desperate, urgent, as if physical closeness could erase betrayal. I let it happen, knowing it was goodbye, disguised as intimacy. Saturday evening arrived. Mira spent hours getting ready. I watched silently as she slipped into the black dress. The one she claimed was for work. It fit her perfectly. Too perfectly. How do I look? She asked, turning toward me. Beautiful, I said. Declan's a lucky man. Something flickered across her face, then vanished. We're just friends. I know, I replied. Have a great time. She left in an Uber, probably so I wouldn't see her pick him up. The moment her taillights disappeared, I called Chris. She's gone. Come now. 4 hours later, the house was empty of me. My clothes, my books, my memories. Everything that was mine vanished with military precision. I left behind what represented us, the wedding photos, the throw pillows, the shared furniture. There was no us anymore. Before I left, I printed the messages, highlighted the worst lines. I placed them neatly on the kitchen table beside a handwritten note. Clear, calm, final. As I closed the door behind me, keys and wedding ring left on the counter, my phone buzzed. Her name lit up the screen. the first of many calls I would never answer. And somewhere across town, Mira was laughing in a nightclub, unaware that her marriage had already ended. Mira's first call came at 11:47 p.m. My phone vibrated on the coffee table at Chris's apartment, lighting up the dark room like a warning signal. I didn't move. Chris glanced at the screen, then at me. "You going to answer that?" "No," I said quietly, and I meant it. The calls kept coming, one after another. Then the texts started, confused at first, then angry, then desperate. "Where are you? Answer your phone. This isn't funny, Jensen. We need to talk." I turned the phone face down and went to sleep in the guest room, sinking into the deepest, calmest rest I'd had in months. Sunday morning greeted me with 47 missed calls and 89 unread messages. I scrolled through them without emotion. The tone had shifted overnight. "It's not what you think. Declan was just there as a friend. How dare you invade my privacy? You're overreacting. Please come home so we can talk like adults." That last line almost made me laugh. Adults don't hide affairs. Adults don't issue ultimatums and expect obedience. I turned my phone off again and went about my day like a man finally free of noise. Monday morning, right on schedule, Marcus Hale's process server delivered the divorce papers to Mira at her office. I'd insisted on that detail. No quiet handoff, no private moment to rewrite the narrative. She'd humiliated me in silence for months. The truth deserved daylight. By noon, my phone was alive again. Mutual friends, unknown numbers, messages asking what happened, what I'd done, how I could abandon her so suddenly. The first call I answered was Alyssa, Mira's best friend from college. "Jensen," she said gently, "Mira is devastated. She says this was all a misunderstanding. Can't you two work this out?" I stayed calm. "Did she tell you she planned to sleep with Declan on Saturday?" Silence. "Did she tell you they'd been emotionally involved for 6 months? That she told him I didn't touch her the way he did?" Still silence. "She thought she'd come home to a fight," I said. "Instead, she came home to consequences." Alyssa hung up without another word. My parents called that evening. My mother tried to hold on to hope, urging forgiveness, reminding me of vows and history. My father listened quietly, then said only one thing. "A man who doesn't respect himself can't expect anyone else to." That was all I needed to hear. By Wednesday, Mira escalated. Chris called me from work. She's outside, sitting in her car, crying. "Don't let her in," I said. "She's been there for over an hour." "She'll leave," I replied. She stayed too. Maybe she thought I'd look out the window, feel sorry, run down to comfort her. I didn't. Some doors closed not with anger, but with certainty. Online, her version of the story bloomed quickly. Vague posts about toxic relationships, about controlling partners, about finding her voice. Friends divided themselves neatly. Those who knew both sides reached out quietly to support me. Those who only knew her narrative sided with her. I said nothing. I didn't need to defend myself to people who prefer to lie. Declan disappeared from her social media within a week. Every photo, every comment, gone. Apparently, when fantasy turned into reality, he lost interest. Or maybe his wife, yes, he was married, had found out about the reconnection. Mira hadn't mentioned that part. 6 weeks later, the divorce was finalized. Mira didn't contest a single thing once Marcus made it clear the messages would become public record. She moved into a small apartment across town and stopped reaching out. Through mutual acquaintances, I heard she'd been telling people I left over one mistake. That story might have worked if too many people hadn't already seen the truth. 3 months after everything was over, her final message came through. "I'm sorry, Jensen. You deserve better than what I gave you. I hope you find someone who appreciates you." I read it once, then deleted it. Some apologies arrived too late. Some betrayals closed the door forever. I thought that was the end. Closure, clean lines, a finished chapter. But 2 weeks later, an unexpected message landed in my inbox. One that mentioned a hotel, a receipt, and a night Mira had sworn never happened. And suddenly I realized I still didn't know the full truth. The message came from a number I didn't recognize. No greeting, no apology. Just a photo. Grainy, badly lit, unmistakable. A hotel receipt. The Regency. The same night Declan had called the best night of his life. Beneath it, a single line. I thought you should know the truth. She wasn't honest with either of us. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. Not because it hurt, but because it confirmed something I already knew. Betrayal rarely starts where it ends. It grows in the dark, feeding on silence and excuses. I didn't reply. I didn't ask questions. I didn't need details. Whatever hadn't been said no longer mattered. The marriage was already buried. Digging it up wouldn't change the outcome. It would only stain my hands. That night I went for a long walk, no headphones, no phone, just quiet streets and my own thoughts. For the first time since everything fell apart, I wasn't replaying conversations or imagining alternate endings. I was simply present. And I realized something that surprised me. I felt light. Not relieved in a dramatic way, not triumphant, just unburdened. Like I'd been carrying a weight for years without noticing how heavy it had become. The arguments, the self-doubt, the constant shrinking of my needs to make room for hers, all of it was gone. Over the next few weeks, life settled into a new rhythm. I moved into my own place, small, clean, quiet. No throw pillows chosen by committee, no tension humming under the surface. I slept better. I ate better. I laughed more than I had in a long time, and it startled me when it happened. Friends drifted back in, the right ones. Conversations felt honest again. Nobody was walking on eggshells. Nobody was defending the indefensible. And slowly, without effort, Mira stopped being the center of my thoughts. I heard updates through the grapevine. She was struggling, telling different versions of the story depending on who asked. Some said she regretted everything. Others said she blamed me for not fighting harder. I felt no urge to correct her. People believe what aligns with their own values. Those who mattered already knew the truth. One evening, while unpacking the last box from the movie, I found my wedding ring at the bottom of a drawer. I'd forgotten about it. For a moment, I held it between my fingers, remembering the man I was when I first wore it. Hopeful, certain, willing to compromise anything for love. I wasn't angry at that man. He did the best he could with what he knew, but I was grateful I wasn't him anymore. I dropped the ring into a small box and closed the lid. Not with bitterness, with gratitude. Because some endings don't destroy you, they correct you. Mira had given me an ultimatum that night in the kitchen. Accept disrespect or leave. She thought I'd bend. She thought love meant endurance. What she didn't understand was that love without respect isn't love. It's erosion. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And when someone tells you they're willing to risk your marriage for their comfort, understand that the marriage is already over. They're just waiting for you to catch up. I did. I chose myself, not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of self-respect. And for the first time in a very long time, I looked forward to the future. Not because it promised perfection, but because it was finally honest. Some stories don't end with reconciliation, they end with clarity, and that, I've learned, is sometimes the greatest victory of all. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Every click helps us bring more real stories to life.